Welcome back to my channel, everybody. If you're a returning visitor to this channel, you know that I like to showcase wildlife and nature, and also that sometimes I talk about some interpersonal circumstances that I've been witness to, and some of those topics cause people to try to change the subject quite frequently. Like, for an example, I've got several people who have told me that I need to change my name, and they're referring to my screen name, and they say that if I change my name, that'll change everything. Well, in reality, I've also filed paperwork to change my actual name, and the reason for that is because I don't want to have the same vibrational energy as the name I was given. And there's something in that has to do with my own self discovery, my own self journey, my own interpersonal relationship with how I feel. Let's even call it egocentrically. In other words, how I feel about how I think I'm perceived is in a way tied to even how I am often called by name. And that's something that's my own circumstance. Some people might look at other people and project judgments onto other people in the same way. I personally don't hold anyone to a standard that is unrealistic. I know that all of us have our faults and all of us have our circumstances. And so if I listen to someone who's singing and they don't really sing that well, my first comment isn't going to be, man, you're a terrible singer. My analysis will go through, I'm going to listen to the words. I'm going to see what the story is about if I had any interest to begin with. And then at that point in time, after we've read the story, so to speak, then we see that the story is not always something that you can judge by the cover. And so I'm talking about one subject. It goes in a multitude of directions, and some people will not follow. But on this channel, I really like to showcase wildlife and nature. And oh, by the way, I enjoy playing guitar. And so on this channel, I try to merge those circumstances. And I also happen to drive quite a bit, or I used to happen to drive quite a bit to different locations to showcase some of the things that I've seen. Like, for an example, here in San Antonio, apparently we were able to barely see the northern lights last night. And I remember last year around this time frame, I was at Palo Duro Canyon seeing the northern lights. And I saw it in person. It was amazing. The northern lights, when they're down this far south in Texas, for an example, they're actually red instead of the greenish color that you might see for the aurora if you do a Google search for said topic. But anyway, all of these circumstances that you're listening to, that I'm telling you about, that I've shown you, have to do with something that you want to delve into. I'm a reflection, and on my side of the reflection, what I see is someone who is struggling very much with trying to recover my own health. And so I'm coming out to a place where I can go and walk around in nature, which is my favorite thing to do. Why is that? Because in the past, I could see quite an abundance of wildlife. Nowadays, there are certain things that are different. Just like, for an example, on the way in, I passed a gas station and gas was something like $3 for regular and something like almost $4 for unleaded. And I remember not too terribly long ago, in the scope of my time, the gas prices used to be about $1 for unleaded, and premium was the only one that cost more, and that price would normally fluctuate. So when I started with my ability to travel and explore and learn and experience this life, I was given an opportunity where some people for that low of a price, $1 a gallon, for some people it was easy to travel. For me, it still wasn't easy to travel because I didn't grow up with a great amount of fortune. However, I got a job while I was still in high school. I used that money to do things like travel and have experiences with my friends. Experiences with my friends and family are the reason that you're probably on this channel right now trying to follow along and trying to figure out, possibly judgingly, how to respond to what it is you're hearing. And sometimes all I've got to say is, when I tell a story, I like to tell it to you to your face. And some people like to tell stories behind people's back. The people who will tell you a story to your face, sometimes you might say that they're arrogant or that maybe they're narcissistic. But the truth is, if someone is going to tell a story behind your back and manipulate truth and not be able to have a full conversation, you're basically dealing with a narcissistic individual, a liar, someone who doesn't want to have the truth exposed so much that they pretty much will deny it as, what is it, a false narrative, something like that. Today's news had a lot to do with the false narrative, and some people and decisions that they clearly made. And for whatever reason, some people will try to not have the truth come out, and other people will just admit to it. The difference is whether someone admits to it because that's just part of their character. They tell you things how they actually are. They tell you the truth. Or if they're telling you something to vindictively cause any kind of pain and despair. Well, there's a difference between those two things, but that's not even anything that I want to get into right now. What I really want to get into is that A, this is my channel, and B, let's get to the content that I wanted to showcase. decided where you want to go? Have you decided? Do you even know? Thank you. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to this interesting creation. And till next time, peace, love, and all that old school stuff.